Welcome to the Meet SE. This is a webcam by OBSBOT. And yes, it really is this tiny. So before we go any further, a quick thank you to everyone that has subscribed to us over the years since we began. And it is just super appreciated that your support has helped us get to where we are today. Our subscriber numbers and viewer count is growing by the day. So just keep that like and subscribe button locked in and we can do great things in the future. But back to the camera itself. The camera itself is, as you can see, very, very small. It's 45 by 36 by 22.2 millimeters in size. Now, as you can agree, that is pretty small. Now, with the mount that comes with it, it's 45 by 36 by 36.7 millimeters. It weighs 33.2 grams without the stand and 59.5 grams with the stand. The sensor that it comes with is a 1 to 2.8 CMOS sensor and effective pixels of 2 megapixels. Now that sounds quite low compared to what's out there these days, but don't forget, this is only a 1080p camera. The aperture is an f1.8, and as I just said, the supported resolution is up to 1080p, but it's 1080p at 100 FPS. Now, if you want to go higher FPS than 100, it's a reduction in the resolution down to 720p, and that will give you 150 FPS. It has a 4x digital zoom. Now, I'm not sure what that is actually like, but we'll check that out in a little bit when we check out the software. The field of view of this little webcam, or the FOV as us gamers like to call it, is 78 degrees. And of course it has autofocus and manual focus should you wish to manually focus it. The focal distance is between 10 centimeters and, according to their website at least, infinity. It also states on their website that it supports HDR. I don't know what type of HDR it supports, but it just says it supports it. It has an ISO support of between 100 and 12,800 and also has a variable shutter speed as well, between 1/6400 and 1/30 seconds, with a white balance of between 2,000 and 100,000 K. Now, being that this is a webcam, it does have a built-in microphone, and we will test that and the video quality a little bit later on. The connection it has is USB-C, and it does have a USB-C to USB-A adapter if your computer does not have a USB-C connection. Now, if you want to mount this thing onto a stand, it doesn't come with a stand, unfortunately. I thought they were going to send one out so I could show you, but unfortunately they didn't send one out. But it does support a standard connection for different types of camera stands there, so you can mount this to a tripod or some other kind of tripod or desk mount or anything like that, and you can securely mount it onto that so it doesn't fall off. Now, this webcam will work without software. You can just literally plug it in and go, and it will do its thing. And you can even use gesture controls, which we'll show you in a bit as well, without the software, amazingly. The software is called OBS Center, formerly OBS Webcam. Now, in the box, you will obviously get the camera. You will get a USB-A to USB-C adapter, which we've actually already got attached to the cable there. You can see it. That is it. Nothing really special about that. You can get these fairly cheap if for some reason you lose it. But you've got that and it comes with it. You get the USB-C cable. Now it looks like it's about a meter. Looks like about a meter length there. Maybe not long enough for some people, but it is USB-C to USB-C. So if you want a longer cable, you're going to have to get a longer cable. But I think for most people, that is probably going to be plenty long enough for what you need. That plugs into, as you saw a minute ago, back into the back of the camera. And then you plug that into your computer with USB-A or USB-C. Now, as I said, it doesn't come with an actual tripod, which I did ask them to send, but unfortunately they didn't. So we are where we are. It does come with the monitor stand. Now, it's a bit of a weird looking thing, and you're probably wondering, well, how does that go on to that? There's no screw hole there. You can't screw it on or anything like that. This is really probably the only gripe that I've got with this connection method. Well, not the connection method, the method of it mounting on top of the monitor, as long as you're not moving it. Now, you'll see that in a moment as we test that. That will kind of sit on top of the monitor like that. Your camera will go onto this section here, which is magnetic. So that will just plop on the top like that, which is actually really cool. Magnets are cool generally, but it does have a couple of downsides. Now, if you're trying to position the camera, or you've got it at a funny angle, say you've got it on the right-hand side of the monitor, similar to mine up there, and you need to angle it, if you angle it too far, it will simply just not support. It will just slide off. It will just come off. The magnet isn't strong enough to hold it at that angle. Look, I'm literally not even going to do anything, and it's just falling off. So I think a stronger, bigger magnet on this section would have made a big difference on that. But if you have it that way, it kind of just locks in. And as you can see there, shaking it around quite a lot, and it's not coming off. Now, my only concern with it was just the rotational. So definitely, I think you guys need to maybe put a bigger magnet in that. But regardless, when it is locked in, the magnet does actually hold it quite well until you tug on it. If you tug on it a little bit, or you knock it, or something knocks it, then it will just kind of come loose. But bearing in mind, this is a magnet. It's not an amazingly strong magnet, but as you saw there, it's strong enough to... It's stronger than I thought, actually. It's not coming off. So just don't pull the cable once you've got it plugged in, is basically what I'm trying to say here. You also get a manual and the important warranty. Whenever you get anything new, you should always fill out the warranty form on it, because you never know, something could go wrong and you need to claim that warranty. I can't tell you what the warranty is like with this company. I've never dealt with them before, but if we do ever have to deal with it, we will be sure to let you know on our social media what their warranty support is like. And then obviously all that is crammed into this tiny little box that you can see here. It's just a box, nothing really special. It tells you everything you've got in it. And that is that. Okay, I think that's enough talk about the physical aspects of the camera. Let's get it plugged in and test out the software and the other features. So let's just have a quick run through of the software itself, the OBS Center software. Now, this software caters for literally all their cameras. So there are features in this which will not work with this camera, but we'll try and show you the stuff that does work with it. Now, as you can see on the screen now, you've got me in a preview window in the OBS Center software there. If you can see on the right-hand side of the screen here, we've got this section here, the console section of the screen there. Now, this, I believe, is for, it looks to be mostly for cameras that, that have a gimbal. Unfortunately, this one does not have a gimbal, but they do cameras with gimbals. Hopefully we can get one of those in after this review. Now, you've got different FOV presets here. So at the minute we're on the wide section, you can see literally everything around me. And if we zoom in a little bit, we're kind of off center a little bit. So let's just move myself over a minute. No, that's the wrong way, opposite direction, like that. So I'm kind of still not in the center really, compared to where I am. I'm actually worse than it was a moment ago. Let's just move it over a bit more and see what is going on. What is going on? Why am I not in the center of the screen? That's a bit better. Right, so we're a bit more in the center of the screen now. You can probably see the camera kind of auto-focusing, trying to auto-focus my face. Now, I don't have any lights facing me, which might be why it's struggling a little bit here. And we've also got a backlit, a colored backlit light there, which probably isn't helping either. So that is the wide angle shot there, as you can see, medium angle FOV there, and then a really, really narrow FOV there. And that is that. Now, it does also have auto framing, as you can see at the top here. Now, if we enable that, it will use the FOV and either zoom in and out to fit me into the shot. Now, I can move around. I don't think this is the mode for that, but it should do that. And we can do a single close-up one, so it will zoom in a bit more, and it should effectively try and keep me in the shot. Now, bearing in mind that this does not track. It doesn't physically track. The only way it can track, if we just hold up here a minute, let's go back to that, go wide. This is the full angle that it can move. So if we're closer than that, it can move us around within this entire square. Now, anything outside of this square, it can't track because the camera doesn't move itself. So that is a bit of a problem. Now, let's just do auto framing again. Now, it can either do a single close-up. You can see it just slightly moving in there. Now, if I move back a little bit, let's just see if it can zoom in a little bit more, because it does have that capability. Now, it's more kind of an upper body. So let's try upper body, and it should focus on our body. So it's gone down a little bit there. If we go back on to single close-up, yeah, it will keep us mostly in the frame. In fact, we're all entirely in the frame. So we're in group mode now. So if there was more people in the shot, unfortunately I don't have anyone else that can be in the shot, then it would fit us all in the shot the best it could. Now, given the constraints of the wide angle shot that we showed you a moment ago. So that is the auto framing. Not really a good example here of where I am. So what I'm going to do is get a little bit closer and just see if it can do anything to do with that. Now, it can't zoom out anymore. We're going to do a single close-up. And as you can see there, it's not really doing a lot because I'm really close to the camera. Quality is not bad. We'll get to the quality in a moment, to be honest. And let's do a narrow field of view. Oh, wow. Okay. And do auto framing. So it's now it's adjusting the FOV to make sure that we're in the shot. Now on the camera itself, I don't know if you can see that the light on the camera has gone to purple because we're using special modes on the camera. And that's also true when we start using our gesture control as well. It has a couple of gesture controls you can do. So let's put it back to normal, put it back to wide, and there we go. Let's go and sit back in our normal position. There we go. Now, it does have autofocus. So if we go to image here, we can see that it is actually set on autofocus. Now, we can also get it to focus on our face and not the background. Now, you should see it trying to adjust my face there. If I go in a little bit, hopefully you can see the background goes a little bit blurrier. If I get really close to the camera, you can see the background potentially gets a little bit blurry, and I am not bad, actually. It's not bad in focus. Now, if I move over to this side, it's trying to refocus again. If I move over to this side, it's keeping track on my face, or keeping focus on my face. Don't forget, it can't track. So there is that. But you can see the background is blurry now compared to my face. And just looking at it from this close in the preview window, the quality is actually really good for a 1080p camera. Now we go back here, you see the background has gone, or that side has gone slightly more in focus now as my face is now further away from the camera. Auto exposure control, I would probably generally leave that on because otherwise it kind of looks like this. And unless you know your settings, you're probably not going to see much. So I would generally leave that on auto because I think it copes really, really well. Otherwise, you're going to get a shot like this where all you can see is the little light up the top there, which is not great. So we've got anti-flicker as well. We've got 50 Hertz anti-flicker. Most cameras have this feature. If you're looking at a monitor that is beyond the 50 or 60 Hertz, which is a lot of gaming monitors these days, you can enable that and it will stop the flicker. Or lights, it's primarily for lights that flicker at certain Hertz. That will help you combat that. You've got white balance here again. I would again leave this on auto unless you want weird looking scenes or cold looking scenes. Ooh, it's really cold. I would not do that. Unless you're going for that effect, that's entirely up to you. You've got that option. So there we can see that it goes down to 2000K is the minimum, all the way up to 100 or 10,000, sorry. Now you can adjust the contrast, saturation, sharpness, and hue. So we're going to whack the sharpness all the way up and just see how that looks over sharpened. And now there is no auto setting on this, so you can't really, you can set it back to 0 basically is what it will do. So you can see if you look at my hair at the top, or what there is of it, you can see that it does kind of get a little bit sharper. And if I take that down again to 0 sharpness, it's slightly less fuzzy, but you've got a little bit of fidelity there maybe. Now that is the bottom of the settings on this particular section here. We've got HDR here. Now I'm not going to be able to show you HDR in a YouTube video, unfortunately, but it doesn't look like I can turn it on. But it definitely says it supports HDR on the website. Now let's see what it says. HDR is only supported for resolutions of 1080p with a maximum frame rate of 60 FPS. So it could be that we're previewing this in a higher frame rate. So potentially we can have a look at that when we're doing some recordings, but again, it's going to be the thing of, let's just see if we can change it. So we're actually at 1080p 30, that's the recording. Let's change that up to 60. I think that might be why. Oh yeah, that looks a little bit smoother. So we were actually at 30 FPS a moment ago, and we're using hardware encoding. Recording bitrate, we're going to set to high. Yes, we want that all to high. MP4, as long as it saves the file at the end of it, that will be fine. And it can say you can have different cameras attached to it there. We'll look at that another time maybe, but let's just have a look at that. So now we've got the HDR enabled because we've set the preview window to 60 FPS. So let's go and turn that on. And I'm going to see what difference that makes. It's a bit hard to say because I don't have HDR enabled on the monitor. So it's good to see that it's got the feature there though, but we can't really show it in a YouTube video. So I'm going to turn that off. And there we go. We can go back to normal SDR resolutions or view there. Now we've got a more section here. It auto sleeps after a certain time and sleep background. So if you're doing a stream or something, it will show an image on the screen. I can't preview the image, unfortunately, but it looks like you can load up your own image, which is really cool, actually. So if you're doing a stream, that's pretty cool. Now this is the gesture control part. Now we've got auto framing, which we've manually already showed you. And then we've got a zoom feature as well. Now, let's just try that out now. You can see that. Let's make the preview window bigger on the screen. Let's give you something to actually look at. So, what we have the auto framing mode. So apparently if I just hold my hand up, it will auto frame. And I can see the camera light is flashing and it is auto framing on apparently my upper body. That is the mode that is selected. So let's try it again with the other hand to see what difference that makes. Do I have to hold it in front of my face? Not quite sure what's happening. The light on the camera itself up there, you can see, hopefully you can see that, is purple, which means it's in the auto framing mode. It doesn't seem to be coming out of auto framing mode. The light is flashing. There we go. It's gone green. So the light on the camera has gone green, and you can see that it's gone back to the normal mode. Now we can tell it that we want to do group mode, single close-up, or upper body as it was a moment ago. So let's try that on single close-up mode. And we already know that it didn't really move in that far, but let's give it a go and see what it does. There we go. Now it's picking it up. So you have to have it at the right angle. And now it is in auto framing mode. So if I just zoom in a bit, it's trying, oh, that's autofocus doing a thing. Let's step back. There we go. It's going to zoom in and keep my body in the frame and then autofocus. You've got a little bit of a light on that side because I'm flipped, affecting my face there, but that's because of the color light I've got in the studio for this video. I would really like the single close-up to be actually single close-up where it's more focused on your head or the upper part of your body, because it doesn't seem to be really doing it. The upper body option is there. We've changed it, but it doesn't seem to be changing. So I think we have to take it out of auto framing mode and then put it back into auto framing mode like that. And there's more of my body in the shot here. So at least that bit works just there. So now what we're going to try is the zoom feature. Now, hopefully my hands do the right gesture here. Don't do the wrong one. But anyway, apparently if we do that, it will zoom. That was quick. That was quick gesture identification there. Zoom in. So if I just move my hand out of the way, it has stopped. Now if I do that way, will it zoom out? It zooms out. Oh no, it's zooming back in it. It wants to get close. Right. Now if we just move my hand away, there we go. It's good, but it is kind of focusing on the upper body. So I think composition mode, let's change that to single close-up. Let's see if that affects the zoom in option as well. So it's not really keeping my head in the shot there. It's keeping this kind of, well, you can see the section it's keeping there. It's not really keeping me in the entire shot. Now I wonder how far it can zoom in. Let's do a full zoom in. So it looks like it's at a set zoom. Now looking on the right hand side, we've got a zoom factor of 1 to 4. So let's do a 4 times zoom. Now, I'm assuming that this is like a preset zoom that you can tell it to zoom into. So let's see how this goes, shall we? Oh, yeah, okay, that's 4 times zoom set on there. You can see it's very pixelated. Don't forget, we're at 1080p. It's not 1440p or 2K or anything like that. So we can still hold a hand up and do normal gesture control there to zoom in and out. So if we just do that a little bit, stop. No, it wants to zoom in the entire full amount. So I think what happens is you just set the zoom that you want on here, like we said a moment ago. So 2 is probably a good zoom actually, and that is the default setting in the app. And then you do that and it zooms in to 2 times you, which I think is acceptable. You can turn auto framing off. So if you want that feature off, if you hold your hand up, it's not going to work. We've turned it off now. So that is disabling the gesture control completely. Those are the 2 gesture controls that you can do with this camera. All right, so let's test a recording of the webcam itself and see what that is like. So I've got auto framing mode enabled, and we're going to record it as you see it on the screen right now. Okay, so we're now recording from the OBS Meet SE, OBSBOT Meet SE webcam using the OBS Center, the OBSBOT Center. I've got to get used to that name. And I've got auto framing mode enabled for a single close-up shot. So if I move around, it should try and keep me in the frame, which it is doing pretty well. There we go. You can see it moving around, trying to track me, which is really quite cool. Actually, it's quite quick at doing that. Now, the mic I've set to standard. You can't see it on the screen because you can only see me at the moment. And yeah, it seems to be working really well. Now, I don't know what the quality will show like on a YouTube video or the microphone, but I guess we'll find out in a moment. Okay, so as we just saw, the webcam isn't really that bad from the distance that I am here. Camera's up there and I'm here. I've changed the microphone. It's actually got 2 microphones. I think I didn't mention that earlier. It's got one on the left and one on the right. Let me get up off the chair. I'm going to be out of shot now. You can probably see it on the camera. It's still tracking me on the screen. Considering there's a big bright light there, it's tracking me really, really well. And if I go kind of out of shot, yeah, obviously it can't track me anymore. Now, bearing in mind that the camera itself is not moving, it's tracking me within the FOV that I showed you earlier in the video. So it's doing its best to keep me in the frame, and it only seems to go to zoom in really, really close to me when I'm kind of almost off the screen there, which is a little bit weird. And there we go, it's trying to put me back in the frame again. But as you can see, the tracking side of it, the AI tracking, I haven't mentioned AI tracking apart from just then. That's the first time I mentioned AI. That being said, I think it does really, really well. And the mic pickup is actually quite good for a tiny little camera like this. Now, let's say you want to use this as a streaming camera and you want to use software like OBS or Streamlabs or anything like that. There are a multitude of other softwares that will let you stream as well. Well, let's head on over to OBS. Now, as you can see on the screen now, we've got OBS loaded up with our standard screen there. This is what we show on stream when we're streaming, which is webcam only mode. And you can see that the webcam is selected there. It's actually that one there. So we've got it set up already, and we've got it set quite small. So let's make that a bit bigger. So this is what it would show like on our stream. And the settings you've got for this, it's pretty easy. You just add it like you do any other camera. Make sure you've selected the correct camera. In this case, we actually haven't. We're using that one up there. So we need to change that to the other camera. Now we've got the Meet SE stream camera there, and we've also got the virtual camera mode. Let's just try that. Let's load up the OBS Meet software, Center software again, and we'll make sure that we've got that set up correctly. We've got the virtual camera enabled there. Let's turn that on. And we can see that it looks like it's coming on. So that is how you would get that if you were using the OBS Meet, the OBSBOT Center software. That is how you would do that. Make sure you've got virtual camera mode enabled, and then you select the OBSBOT virtual camera in the software, in the streaming software itself. So that is kind of what that would look like on stream. Now it will still do the special modes there. You can see it trying to track us. There we go. And it won't matter if you've got the software loaded or not for that. So let me just move back my squeaking chair, and it should try and zoom me in and keep me in the frame no matter what I'm doing on the stream, even in OBS, which is really quite cool. Now this is using the OBSBOT software, the OBSBOT Center software. I can never get that name right. So that is what that is using, and that is what it looks like on OBS. And it's really, really it's really that simple to add it to OBS. Now, if you're wondering how much this camera is, it's between 80 and 90 UK pounds. Now, the price varies quite a lot, and obviously you'll see the price of it on the official OBSBOT website as well. As I said, we'll put links in the video description and in the comment section down below. But that is the price of this AI webcam that works without the software, and high FPS, great for slow-mos. So you should definitely check out this if you want to capture some really awesome slow-mos. Even though it's 720p, still really, really quite good, I think. Well, there we go. Thanks to OBSBOT for sending over the Meet SE camera, as you can see up there. Hopefully we've shown you a lot of the features that this thing has. Hopefully we can get in one that has a gimbal on it or something that can move around. That would be really cool and really, really useful, I think, moving forward. But as a webcam at 1080p, I would like to have had the 4K version, to be honest with you, because that is more in line with the quality that we are now aiming for on our channel. We're going to be using this moving forward. Not quite sure what we're going to be using it for just yet, but no doubt we'll use it for streaming and stuff like that because it has some quite good features that keep me in the frame, which is really, really good to see. Now, don't forget you can use that without the software. So if you don't want to install the OBSBOT Center software, you are going to miss out on some of the features and configurability, but some of those things like brightness control, all that kind of stuff, you can do in OBS, the OBS streaming software itself. So that's not special to this one. And you can still use the gesture controls without installing the software, which is really good for those that don't like to install extra software. Just plug it in, do the hand gestures, and it just works. It works without any bother at all. We're going to put links to this in the video description down below, and in the comment section there'll be a link direct to the OBSBOT software itself and the webpage for this camera if you want to go and get one of these cameras yourself. That's it from me. We'll catch you in the next video.